In this session, we'll be talking about plant characteristics in relation to fitness. Matt Rutter from the College of Charleston studies the reproduction and growth of the Arabidopsis plant. He'll be explaining some links between some characteristics of an Arabidopsis and how it relates to the number of fruits it might produce.
We can measure a number of other aspects of Arabidopsis that are often related to those fitness measures that we talked about, although they're not related exactly. It isn't 100% correlation between these different aspects of plant morphology and growth that match up to how many fruits are produced. So for example, we can measure how large the rosette is. That is a predictor, although not a perfect predictor, of how many fruits the plant will make. Typically a plant with larger rosettes will produce more fruits, but it's certainly not a guarantee. Plants with small rosettes can be the ones that reproduce more quickly. They usually aren't able to produce as extensive of bolting stems, so that usually limits how many fruits they produce. But if you produce a large rosette and you never get around to bolting, you're going to have zero fitness. So there's definitely some trade-offs in both those cases. But for the most part, larger rosettes would predict more fitness, but it's not a perfect predictor. Similarly, the number of branches that of the bolting stem that are produced tends to be correlated with how many fruits a plant ultimately produces. But it isn't a perfect correlation. Actually, it's probably a little better correlation than rosette diameter is. But there will be noise in the relationship between the number of branches and the number of fruits that are ultimately produced. And similarly, bolting height, as plants have taller bolting stems, they do tend to produce more fruit, but it isn't a perfect predictor. And that's why we usually end up trying to measure the number of fruits that are produced when we can, because that really is the closest to reflecting what the actual number of seeds of the next generation will be. But we can use these different measures to also try and make some predictions about which of these components of plant growth are particularly important to determining fitness. And if, say, we were looking at a mutant that had lower fitness, we could say, its rosettes were much smaller than usual. Perhaps that explains why the fruit number was lower. And then we'd go in and follow that with some further experiments to try and understand what was going on.
Just to review, there isn't a 100% correlation between rosette size and bolt height and fitness, but it's a nice predictor. Normally, characteristics that would generate more fruit are large rosette diameters, large branch numbers, and large bolt heights. Ultimately, you can use these different measurements to find out what is predominantly important to the plant's fitness. For example, if a mutant plant has a higher fitness than a wild type, you can look at a particular trait, like a bigger rosette diameter, and possibly use that as a reason for its higher fitness.